The Prey series has had a curious history. The original game started development in the mid-90s with Duke Nukem developer 3D Realms, but didn't release until 2006 after changing engines and developers. It features a story centered on alien abduction, and it brought in healthy sales. While the sequel was in development, the rights transferred to ZeniMax Media, the parent company of both Bethesda and Arcane Studios. Work on Prey 2 started over, but the new concept, which focused on futuristic bounty hunters, never saw the light of day. Now, in 2017, the team behind Dishonored has rebooted the series in a style similar to their other works.
All good? Great. Let's begin.
Discovering nuggets of lore in Prey is part of what makes progression and exploration so rewarding, so we won't spoil it except for the basic premise. The setting is an alternate future where President John F. Kennedy survived the assassination attempt and then put increased funding into the space race. A collection of alien species known as the Typhon noticed the increased activity and set out to investigate, and in response, a giant space station is built near the moon to learn more about the Typhon. The opening moment allows you to choose a male or female version of Morgan Yu, the director of research on the massive station, awakening to a cryptic start for this science fiction adventure. The way you engage Prey largely depends on which upgrades you invest in. There's a considerable amount of freedom to explore, even during the early hours. Collecting rare neuromods lets Morgan customize his or her abilities in a multitude of ways. Basic upgrades like increased stamina or health grant a greater edge in combat, but exploration-focused mods like Leverage help Morgan lift heavy objects, granting access to otherwise inaccessible areas. There are tons of mods, and every time you invest in a skill, it feels like a potential mistake as the alternatives all seem meaningful and rewarding. The majority of the 12 to 15-hour campaign takes place on the Talos 1 space station. It's an intimidating structure with multiple interconnected substations. As the journey progresses, more and more rooms open for investigation, with varying routes depending on the skills you've unlocked. One of the most important tools is the glue gun, which can freeze enemies in their tracks or plug hazardous leaks like flaming gas pipes. It can even be used in more subtle ways, like creating makeshift ladders or bridges to circumvent dangerous areas. The inventive tool combined with neuromods ensures an absorbing flexibility with each scenario. Sometimes progressing forward requires thinking outside the box, and there's a welcome sense of challenge in moments where you need to take a step back to evaluate a situation. In addition to the main objectives, there are numerous side quests across the sophisticated space station. Prey is difficult even on normal difficulty, and one of its core strengths is that nothing ever comes easy. While it's always tempting to complete optional objectives, enemies are deadly and resources are scarce. Simply navigating from one location to the next can be particularly taxing on resources, forcing you to second-guess whether to deviate from the necessary path. The payoff for finishing many of these quests is almost always worth it, however, contributing to an engaging sense of risk versus reward. The core resource mechanics revolve around the Recycler and Fabricator. The Recycler converts scrap and rubbish into 4 helpful resources that can be used in the Fabricator. Finding blueprints unlocks additional options such as weapons, ammo, and health packs, further encouraging exploration. At times it can be tedious searching every shelf and cupboard for supplies, but the value of each item alleviates some of the repetition. The Typhon aliens come in different shapes and sizes, each equipped with different ways to kill Morgan. While the most basic mimics aren't a huge threat, their ability to disguise themselves within the environment creates a lasting tension. Simply rummaging through cabinets and bookshelves becomes an uneasy trial, never knowing when one will pop out and strike. Larger enemies like phantoms are deadly when confronted head-on, but thankfully Morgan has a wide array of means to deal with such threats. Again, depending on which skills and weapons are upgraded, combat can vary wildly. Increasing stealth and mobility will help bypass enemies altogether, while using sneak attacks and the pulverize skill can make Morgan lethal with a wrench. A silenced pistol can be used to quietly dispatch Typhon from a distance, while the shotgun can utterly decimate even the strongest enemies from point-blank range. A variety of grenades can be used for varying effects, like the luring grenade, which is ideal to set up ambushes, or the EMP grenade, which interrupts some enemy abilities. Combat feels threatening and impactful, while stealth feels equally satisfying. There are some problems with aiming, however, and as some enemies dart across the screen at freakish speeds, these control issues make it hard to connect shots or even close quarters wrench hits. With its wide spread, the shotgun then becomes the go-to option. atmosphere of Talos 1 is a futuristic blend of the past and future. There's a sinister tone that resonates throughout the unnervingly quiet hallways. Rooms vary drastically and can be either uncomfortably pristine or in complete disarray. Each substation has a slightly different aesthetic, contributing to a larger scope, while moments outside the station at zero gravity offer a serene peace. The Typhon are a twisted mix of the scientific and supernatural that eerily stalk Talos 1 with a primal but defensive attitude, as if they want to kill you and be left alone. On PlayStation 4 Pro, there were a few bugs during our playthrough. The game froze on 2 occasions, and at one point near the climax, a side quest couldn't be turned in. Aside from these rare occurrences, though, the performance holds up overall. While it may be easy to say that much of Prey has been done before, whether it's the space station setting or emergent gameplay, there is more than enough subtlety and nuance to set it apart. Consequential upgrades, smart resource management, engaging difficulty, and a mysterious story make Prey a game worth fighting for. Easy Allies reviews are made possible by generous viewers just like you. If you like what you see, check out patreon.com/easyallies to see our other videos, and consider becoming a patron to help us make more.